Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
Housing affordability. The report card's out. Only one state got a straight A, but Iowa came in second with an A minus. Just some mean person who's never been to Iowa, I suspect. Lance, I'm going to mess up your name. Lance Thrailkill is an affordable housing expert. How did I do on your name, Lance? You're very welcome.
Perfect. Impressive.
Perfect. There we go. We like that. Okay. Iowa came second with an A minus. What did Iowa do to pick up the minus?
Yeah, I'm reading reports that Iowa is number one in terms of affordability. So they must be getting docked on something not related to affordability, which right now the biggest, I'd say, issue facing America is affordability of housing. So I give them number one spot in my regard, what I'm reading online.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm getting as well, which makes it all the more surprising. Affordable housing is a huge deal, right? You're an expert in this. Why is it so hard anymore for that American dream of home ownership to be grabbed by more people?
Well, it's obviously a multi-headed issue, but it really starts with the inefficiency of the construction industry. It is the most antiquated, inefficient industry in the world. We're building houses the same way we built them 100 years ago. In what industry are we doing anything the same that we were 10 years ago, much less 100? And so that plays a big part in it. And because we're doing it that way, we have a supply and demand issue. So we cannot produce enough homes, much less affordable homes. So there's the affordability aspect. These also play in one another. So you have a supply issue, which draws up demand, which draws up cost. So our price, rather, not necessarily cost. But so you have a cost issue and just the inefficiency, and then you have a supply issue with the construction industry not being able to deliver enough homes that are needed.
So because we're building them in some old-fashioned way, which is essentially what you're saying, they're costing more than they should.
That's part of it. I think that there's simple things in construction is just that the way they do things with cost plus building, it doesn't incentivize builders to it actually incentivizes them to have a higher cost because they're getting markup on the cost, and they have a ton of waste. They just have the way that they lack of planning or poor planning on production homes. They're a little bit better than custom homes, but it's still just a ton of waste, a ton of manual labor. We've seen, a skilled labor shortage in our country, which is getting, now exacerbated by the, mass deportations. And so when you have skilled trade shortage, they can, charge more for their wages. And so that combined with we've seen construction material costs go up 30% over the last 5 years. And that really all started kind of on the back end of COVID. We had a supply shortage coupled with tariffs back then. And so, here you are with costs up over 30%. Not to mention the issue with the rents. Rents have, gone up massively over the last 10 years compared to earnings going up.
Isn't the housing market all over the country slightly suppressed now? Prices appear to be coming down in some places.
Not very many. I think that there's not as much trading on the open market because interest rates are higher. So, and what's happened is people can't afford to sell their house because the houses in their area have appreciated so much. They're all locked in at that 3-4% rate, and that makes a big difference when you're at 6-7%, and then you're paying a premium for new houses. So I think it's more to do with that than prices necessarily falling. I think that they're not rising as quickly as we've seen in the past in some areas.
No, there are definitely places in the country where prices are falling, and for sure, I keep an eye on it myself. In more than one market. So I'm not sure what's causing that, but it's definitely happening.
Yeah, I'd say it's the interest rates. So you have an inflated market somewhere where prices have gone up because of the land. They've put a premium on it. Like you saw this in the last, really badly back in 2008 in areas like, Colorado and New York and Miami. Once interest rates go up, that demand goes down quite a bit, and that creates, and a time when prices will dip.
Okay, so Iowa is the number one state in the union for affordability. So lots of people should be moving here then.
That's what, if you need to find a place affordable to live, Iowa is certainly the best option.
There you go. Can't be bad. Thank you very much, Lance. If people want to find out more about you, where do they go?
Yes, you can go to print3dtechnologies.com. We are a 3D home printing business, and we are looking to disrupt the construction industry by bringing a new technology to build a better product, and that is much more scalable and much more efficient to build. How
big does the printer have to be?
Well, it can be as big as the footprint of the house needs to be. We mostly work in a 30 by 80 travel gantry system. There's different 3D printing options. There's robotic arms that can be a little bit more flexible in terms of every different system has its pros and cons, whether it's a robotic arm or a gantry system. But I mean, in Europe and Asia, they're building huge multi-story buildings with 3D printing. And so
with what construction material?
With concrete. So the 3D printing it basically works like a soft serve ice cream dispenser. And our system's on a gantry, which the gantry moves by geometric code telling it where to go. And instead of dispensing ice cream, it dispenses concrete. So you're getting essentially a fortress of a house at a more affordable price.
So what would a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,600 square foot house cost if I 3D printed it?
Probably about $150,000 here in Dallas, which our rates are higher. We built one for less than that, but that was 4 years ago. We recently built a house for just $100,000, but it was an efficiency unit. Mm-hmm. And as you get a little bit bigger in the house, you actually gain efficiencies as well in terms of the cost. So your price per square foot goes down quite a bit. So yeah, I'd say $150,000 is what we could build a 1,500 square foot house for.
Interesting stuff.
And really, the finish out is what drives the cost. So I mean, that's with a very basic finish out. Now, if you want, big glass windows, floor to ceiling, and really nice furnishing and tile and all that, then the cost will start to go up. But we've been doing slick concrete floors, a little bit more modern industrial look, and that helps save a lot. Also, just makes it they're a lot more energy efficient, and so that cuts down on your bills. A lot more robust and durable as well. So you're not going to get holes in your walls and scratches and dings all over the place. You've got concrete walls.
Well, very, very interesting. That is for sure. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. You have yourself a good rest of the day and stay safe out there. Fascinating conversation, that.